In the 1840s, the United States was growing at a staggering pace. As this map of 1840 to 1850 territorial controversy shows, the country's footprint expanded rapidly. The U.S. annexed the Republic of Texas, acquired vast western lands by defeating Mexico, and finally settled its disputed northern borders with the British Empire. This land grab was fueled by a powerful idea called manifest destiny, a widely held belief that the nation was willed by God to stretch all the way to the Pacific Ocean and make the continent American. Yet swallowing millions of square miles of new territory in just 4 years created an immediate, lethal problem. The new land would eventually tear the country apart. America was split into two completely different societies. The North was rapidly industrializing, while the rural agricultural South focused on labor-intensive cash crops, relying on enslaved humans to keep its economy afloat. Senate peace meant maintaining an exact 1-to-1 ratio of free to slave states. Adding new Western land forced an unavoidable question: would these states allow slavery? Whichever faction won them would control the Senate, dictating the entire country's future. Desperate to keep the peace, lawmakers tried to patch the system. Their first major effort was the Compromise of 1850. They admitted California as a free state, but to appease the South, they passed the Fugitive Slave Law. This required anyone, even those living in free states, to capture and return escaped slaves. It legally forced the North to participate in maintaining the institution of slavery. 4 years later, the Kansas-Nebraska Act tried another workaround. Instead of Congress deciding a territory status, they would let the settlers vote on it themselves, a concept known as popular sovereignty. Instead of solving the issue quietly at the ballot box, fiercely determined pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers flooded into Kansas to sway the vote. They formed armed camps, attacking and sometimes murdering each other in a crisis that became known as Bleeding Kansas. The 1850s demonstrated that you couldn't resolve a conflict over human rights by simply tweaking the number of Senate seats. The math of compromise failed because the two sides no longer agreed on the definition of property or the value of a person. Then, in 1857, the Supreme Court handed down the Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was an enslaved man who sued for his freedom after his master took him into a free state. The court ruled against him and declared that Black people were never intended to be U.S. citizens and possessed no constitutional rights at all. This ruling legally protected slavery in every territory, enraging Northern abolitionists. In 1859, a fierce abolitionist named John Brown answered that ruling with violence. He launched a raid on the government arsenal at Harper's Ferry, hoping to arm enslaved people and incite a massive revolt. He was quickly captured and hanged. The highest court in the land had closed off legal recourse, and armed revolt had broken out. The political middle ground was entirely gone, leaving the North and South in a state of mutual, irreconcilable hatred. When the Republican candidate Abraham Lincoln won the presidency in 1860 without carrying a single Southern state, the South realized they had lost their grip on the federal government. Before Lincoln even took the oath of office, states began to secede. They formed the Confederate States of America under Jefferson Davis, creating a new government explicitly to protect the institution of slavery. By April of 1861, they had fired the first shots. This chart shows the Union's massive edge in raw resources, possessing double the population and far more railway miles. Yet because the Confederacy only had to defend its own territory to win, they maintained a bloody stalemate for the first 2 years of the war. The first years produced staggering casualties. Massive armies clashed in horrific battles, leaving fields covered in bodies, yet the strategic picture barely moved. Looking at the original text of the Emancipation Proclamation from January 1863, we can see exactly how Lincoln broke the deadlock. Using his war powers, he declared that all enslaved people within the rebellious states were now forever free. The proclamation turned the Union Army into a force of liberation. Every mile of territory gained now meant the immediate legal end of slavery for the people living there, making the war a direct battle over the institution itself. This move trapped potential Confederate allies. Britain and France had abolished slavery. Making it a fight for emancipation, Lincoln ensured that foreign intervention on the South Side would be politically impossible. The Union pressed its advantage with aggressive, total war tactics. Generals like William Tecumseh Sherman crippled the Southern economy by destroying infrastructure as they marched. Ultimately, the Confederacy buckled, and General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox in April 1865. The Union had been saved, but the man who steered it through the crisis would not live to see the peace. Days after the surrender, a Confederate sympathizer assassinated President Lincoln. By the end of 1865, the United States ratified the 13th Amendment, making the abolition of slavery permanent law across the entire country. The rapid rush to claim the continent had stretched the old political compromises until they snapped. The country endured 4 years of devastating war to destroy a system that accommodated slavery, allowing a shattered nation to rebuild on a stronger foundation.